Next up today, I'm delighted to be joined by Tony Robinson, who's joining me via Zoom on NN Startup Day to talk about all about entrepreneurship. Tony, welcome today. Thank you for joining us.
Fantastic. It's an honor and a privilege, Simon. Always nice to meet you.
Yeah, brilliant. And really been impressed by some of the work you've done over the years. And as I said, today is our annual day of celebrating entrepreneurship here in Northamptonshire. But obviously, with the powers of technology and with all the virtual technology and social media, this can go out to anywhere in the world. So I'm delighted that you've joined us to talk about entrepreneurship. I know it's a real topic that you're really passionate about as well. So, do you want to give us a brief introduction to yourself about your experience around entrepreneurship, and let's have the conversation today.
Yeah, lovely. Well, I suppose very quickly, today I'm kind of known as the happypreneur because I created this value system, I suppose, so that enterprising people could be happy in their work at least 80% of the time. Um, uh, uh, but, but I'm also known as the micro business champion because for 40 years, I guess, I've been championing entrepreneurs, self-employed people, micro and small business owners, people that start something from nothing and actually create some value out of it and help people and their families and their communities. And those are the people that we need that should be celebrated. And so enterprise means kind of everything to me. And yeah, as you probably know, because you've attended some of our Microbiz Matters days and various things, uh, the public sector is not going to fund us, and we've got to do it ourselves, really. So it's people like you and me that can actually champion the importance, and it's never been more important to our communities of entrepreneurship and enterprising people everywhere. And you can be enterprising even if you're employed, Simon. It's about creating something out of nothing, out of value. Be useful, it's like create a business that's useful, that does something good for somebody, and then people like me and you will actually promote them and try and get some help to level the playing field, because it's not a very level playing field, and that's why I do what I do.
Well, it's brilliant that you've done what you've done and you do what you do, because I've learned so much from you over the last few years, and obviously had the privilege of meeting you a couple of times at the Microbiz Matters days down in London. I think it was Manchester. I think it was up in Yorkshire as well, in
Yeah,
Hull, which
so
is
true.
you're up in Yorkshire, aren't you? So it's been brilliant to be able to travel the country and see some of the action that you've created as well with various people that you work with as well. So yeah, well done on what you have done. As I say, it's a privilege to spend the time with you. When we talk about entrepreneurship, though, it's not easy, and there's been some real tough challenges. And I think part of today that we're celebrating is how people have overcome those challenges.
Mhm.
In your sort of experience and your journey of where you've been, what sort of challenges have you faced that have really caused you really some big concerns, and how have you managed to get over those? Because I think everybody has them, don't they?
Yeah, and I think that that's the most important thing, I think, if you're starting a business, is to recognize that the whole world is providing a media myth regarding what enterprise and entrepreneurship is all about. And the reason they're doing that is because they want to sell you stuff. So therefore, they think that because you're starting a business, that the kind of view is that you don't know what you're doing, and if you have this insurance, or you take this loan, or you actually get this software, or you actually take me on as a coach or an advisor, or you come and see me speaking at Wembley Arena or whatever, that will be the secret to your success. And it won't be. So what we've got to do always is with startups, and I'm chair of something called Yorkshire in Business. So I'm not talking from a not practical basis. We help thousands and thousands of people start a business. And the way we ensure that 80% survive the first 3 years is by actually making sure that they understand the absolute basics that will work time after time after time out starting a business. But then, as you rightly say, prepare for the fact that it's a blooming roller coaster. Is this, I've been running my business since businesses, I suppose now, since 1986, Simon. And there's been some times when you think you'll never climb back up again, but you do. Somehow you do, through sheer hard work and stubbornness and persistence and various things. And it does get easier in actual fact, because the most important thing for an entrepreneur, and the branding gurus won't agree with this, is that, and I'm now talking about lots of my friends like Tim Campbell, MBE, that's from The Apprentice, Kanya King, CBE, created the MOBO Awards. I've got some lovely famous friends out there. You met Charlie Mullins, I think, didn't you, in our London Microbizz Matters Day? They will all say exactly the same thing. Their businesses, even the most successful businesses in the world, have been built on trust and word of mouth. And so the longer you're in business, actually, there's more and more people that actually want to work with you, which protects you against the the financial crashes. Who thought that would happen? Who thought they'd give hundreds of billions of pounds to, who thought it would have taken me 40 years still going and I still haven't got paid in 30 days or less, for example. Then COVID coming along, we can have World War III coming along. So there will always be something around the corner that we have absolutely no control of. We can't do anything about it, and it's going to have an effect on our business. It's amazing how the media don't talk about what the energy costs have actually done to our businesses. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. It's like quiet, isn't it? Like energy costs have gone through the roof, and they don't understand why people are not working from offices and various things, and have to work from home. It's unbelievable. So it's about preparing for the fact that it is going to be a roller coaster. And so how do you actually make sure that you're in a position to ride that when the things go down and then you go back up again? And that's not just about our money, although money worries are the main issue. It's also about our well-being. It's like, you and I do running for charity, don't we? And we do all sorts, but we're also doing it as well for our well-being, aren't we? We're also getting into the routine of doing things as a business owner, that we know the things that work for us in terms of keeping our self positive, really, and our self going through. So the basics of entrepreneurship are always going to be the same. Doesn't matter what the technology is going on. The beauty is that the basic, but you won't get that from universities. You won't get it from the government, certainly, and you won't get it out of the media. You'll only get it from other business owners. You will only get it from other business owners. These are the things that we talk about day to day, every day kind of thing. And it's not this mythological kind of thing. So, it's, I mean, it's the wonderful thing is, and that's the reason for happypreneurship. The wonderful thing is that none of my friends ever, I'm nearly 72 and I'm not retiring, and I don't know anybody that's running their own business that has ever retired. If they do, because we're not the Silicon Valley kind of people that are going to take hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds of investment, because we don't want to lose control. And actually, you'll survive better if you don't lose control. Yeah. If you actually have an investor on board, they want a fast return. They want you to do more, do different. I mean, a lot of people that take investment end up running a business that they don't really like anymore, because it's not the business that actually wanted to set up. So it's about making sure that you're working with the people that you actually want to work with and you love working with. And the first rule of happypreneurship is, and for success, surviving the first 3 years, is do what you love and are good at. I mean, I know that's really simple, but you'll never survive what you're talking about, the ups and downs, unless you're doing something that you love and you're controlling your own destiny. And that's the most wonderful thing in the world. Even mine's a riches to rags story, Simon. It's rather than a rags to riches story. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I've downsized 2 or 3 times during those however many years, 38 years of running my businesses, because I don't want to get into debt. I moved to Scarborough from Northampton, where we are today. Yeah. And the main reason I moved was to actually not have a mortgage anymore. And to live by the sea, of course. But it meant I would have to commute into London because all my clients were in London. So I'd have to commute from Scarborough to London to do the work. Yeah. But that's about dealing with the roller coaster. It's actually, I don't want to be in a situation where there's a downturn or something bad happens or whatever, and I can't ride it out. Yeah, no, I mean, I still love it. I mean, I think that's the most important thing is that, and of course, the older you get, the more you can be even more controllable about only doing things you love and are good at, and never doing anything that Richard Branson always says the answer is yes when anybody says, can you do it? But I'm not sure that's actually true. I think, sometimes you realize that some other people could do it better than you could do it. And I tend to refer to other business owners that I know that can do that better than me, and I concentrate on the things I love. And I would suggest that's important for every entrepreneur. Stick with the knitting kind of thing. Stick with the things that you actually love doing and are good at. And it's one of the difficulties about franchises, which is a bit different from an entrepreneurship. Let's say, like Poppy Design, Marie's company, she could have bought a franchise to do that, but she wouldn't get the same enjoyment or the same thrill or the same. Does that make sense? So it's a format business can become just like a job. Yeah. Whereas the flexibility of being enterprising, if this doesn't work, well, we'll try something else. There's nobody telling us what to do. So we'll test trade again. We'll open a new do you know what I mean? So it's like we've in our cafe in Scarborough at the moment, we've got 30 different pop-up shops in there. Now that's all self-employed people, really, mostly working from home, often on craft businesses and various things like that. But if they're successful in our pop-up shop, then they might try having a little low rental shop for a while because they've built up some word of mouth. And does that make sense? We've got that total flexibility. The world is our lobster, as Del Boy used to say.
I love that, Del Boy. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you're absolutely right there. I think in what you're saying, and I think we are kind of free spirits as well, is a term I use. You're kind of able to diversify quick as well. I think that's some of the feedback we hear. Something happens, we haven't got to go to committee or to a board or anything. We can literally just change the way we operate very quickly. So I think that's a major strength of being involved in entrepreneurship and being a business owner where you can diversify very quickly. Obviously, there's the insecurity sides. I mean, obviously, there's some real tough challenges people do face. And the thing I always say is, set yourself an appointment with yourself in the diary to make sure you get that free time. You mentioned about our running. I think that's certainly my escape. I just literally that's my space, my race. I take my
Yeah.
time and do what I want to do. But
Yeah.
when it comes to obviously being around business people, I think there's no better place than being around other business people where you can bounce off ideas and being in a community, a network, an organisation that can actually help as well. I think is tremendous, and I've been around them for years.
Yeah.
They can add so much value to people, I think, can't they?
Yeah, and I mean, I think there are different types of networks, aren't there? But I would suggest the ones that like you've been building for years, and I've been trying to build for years as well. The ones where we're learning from each other. There's a kind of energy that creates, if you like, in us. I don't know any entrepreneurs, including, say, my famous friends that are entrepreneurs, um, that aren't always learning. They tend to be very good listeners, you know. I mean, they tend to be yeah, I mean, exceptional listeners, I think, in terms of the fact that they're always learning, always trying to understand. And of course, a customer to them is they know how hard it is to get a customer. So it's not like a salesperson. Once they've got a customer, they learn from that customer what that customer would like next. For example. So, networking can include your customers, your suppliers. It can include friends and family that are involved in business, and it can involve the more formal learning things that you set up as well. But do you know what I mean? It's that kind of well-rounded way of actually doing it, and that's like tremendously important. And the great thing is that if you go to one of like your events, and this has happened to me on a number of occasions, where I think I'm one of the few speakers that actually always watches every speech from the audience, in the audience that's before me or after me, kind of thing, so that I'm part of the audience. I usually go onto the stage from the audience rather than whatever, because I want to feel what it's like and what the vibe is and what's actually going on and what the issues are and what people are talking. And if somebody goes to one of your events and actually meets a business owner that they trust, then they might go out for a pint with them, or they might, accept an invitation to one of their events or whatever. And suddenly you move from actually having just a contact to somebody that you can learn with for the rest of your life. And that is like, I say we don't retire, so it's the most valuable thing in the world is doing it. I mean, LinkedIn is fantastic as well. I mean, I don't, we both use that, don't we? And a lot of people that I meet at events or when I'm doing talks or whatever, I get on LinkedIn, and I'm chatting to them in 10 years' time, and we're sharing that, and who do you know who could do that? So it's tremendously important and keeps our mental stuff going as well.
I think further education, continuous development is key. But I think entrepreneurs learn slightly differently, don't they? They don't learn very, via textbook. It's more about actually doing it and actually embracing,
Yes,
what that
definitely.
is about, isn't it? And I think that's the key thing, and that's what I thoroughly enjoy. I'm a doer rather than an academic. I don't like to read. I don't get turned on by reading. I prefer to listen to people. So audiobooks work very well, but also just being in the room with other people and learning from their experience. And I think that's what's motivated me. Have you found that as well? Is that been the route for you to
Yeah,
learn?
I mean, most definitely. I mean, the Claire Francis, who was my business partner for all these years, and I, when we were in Milton Keynes, we actually won a business competition with a particular product that we created, and the prize was at Cranfield, Cranfield Management School. And it was some of the top lecturers on marketing and various things, and absolutely, and it was a complete waste of time. It was so totally devoid from the world we were now living in as micro business owners. We had, there were four of us in the business altogether. And it was like, it was all big company, SME, SME, SME marketing. It was like, it was just not our world. And, I don't know a successful entrepreneur, even the billionaires like, my schoolmates, the Jim Ratcliffe, who Ineos has now got Man United as well as a little thing with he's also got Nice, hasn't he? As well, he's got a Swiss football club, and he's got his cycling teams, and he's got all these different things. But again, he's like totally action oriented. And he's like one of the richest people in the world, And although he founded, I think, something at the London School of Economics, because he learnt his accounting there, he's a chemical engineer. So although he's done his focus of academic, if you read how he manages his business, it's not academic at all. It's hardly any management speaking. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I think that's what we are. I think entrepreneurs, by definition, are action orientated and are often quite impatient as well, I think, which doesn't make for like a 3-year course in something very, very good. And of course, we don't actually, and this is terrible, it's a bit controversial, but we don't actually respect somebody that hasn't done it for themselves, that hasn't got the
I'll agree with
t-shirt.
that. Totally agree with that. So, I mean, some of the things that we've seen over the last number of years is when people sort of say to you, "Have you tried this?" I think, okay, that's great, but when they actually say, "No, this is what you need to do," and they're not walking the walk themselves, you sort of think, "Hey, hold on a minute," it's all very well, but anyone can pick up a textbook, and I think that's where entrepreneurs are different because they have to create and find ways around challenges and problems. So yeah, totally agree with what you just said there. So I wouldn't say it's controversial. I think it's just part of entrepreneurship, and not everyone's willing to take the ride, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and you've also hit on something about the action thing. Um, One of the reasons that we spend all our time with pre-starts and startups, providing free help to them to get them going, is that I'm absolutely convinced, I do have research to show it as well, but that after 18 months to 3 years, you will know more about your business and how to run it and how to sell the products and services that you actually produce than any external advisor. And it's about having I don't know. I mean, we're both keen on football and various sports, many sports, but I take the tennis analogy really. Unlike football, in tennis, the player chooses the coach. Yeah. They're not given that because they're not an employee, they're self-employed. So these elite tennis players, Arina Sabalenka and Djokovic and Sinner and all these kind of things, they choose their coach. Now, how does a coach actually try to make themselves get as much money as they can from out of that multimillionaire self-employed tennis player? Well, they do it by often trying to destabilize the player so that the player actually feels that they can't do without them, because that creates the longevity of the coaching and actually going. Obviously, the best coaches in the world don't do that, but there are many, many stories. And if you actually see the turnover of coaches to tennis players, it's huge, kind of thing, absolutely huge. And then some have stayed with them years and years and years because they've built up that trust, and they're not telling them, when to eat the lettuce before the carrot or that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? And so we've got to be very, very wary, I think, of people actually offering us advice, because they can actually be charismatic. They can actually have a fantastic CV. They can actually tell all these stories about everything they've done, but they could actually knock us off course because we actually know more at that point in time than whatever. And we even say to startups, try and find a business owner that understands your customers to help you, because what they've done in their business. If they're a hairdresser, that might not fit for a cafe, somebody running a cafe at all. It might be totally different. But if it's the same customers and they actually understand those customers, then fine. Yeah, but I think it's a really important point. Yeah, we are action orientated, and that's our strength. Is don't ever get to the situation whereby you're delegating everything. Don't go by those management processes textbooks. You've got to stay close to the customer all the time. Entrepreneurs do. They always stay close to the customers.
Very interesting, and it's interesting what you just said there about being told what to do and how things are and everything. And a couple of weeks ago, I did a growth program, delivered a growth program here locally in Northamptonshire for some business owners. And the first words I said to him is, "Look, I'm going to deliver this. This is something that we believe is the right thing, but at the end of the day, it might not be applicable to you."
Yeah,
But take something from it. I want to give you as much as I can inside 45 minutes, rather than the 3 to 4 hours we actually deliver this locally.
yeah.
And please, bear in mind that some of this you may think, no, 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 and it's absolutely fine. It doesn't bother me, because at the end of the day, all we're doing is putting ideas in front of you to enable you to make decisions. And even if you discount some of these ideas, absolutely fantastic. But it's your business, it's your brand, it's your reputation. Go and do what you think is the right thing to do. And yeah, that feedback was very greeted very positively, because we weren't telling them what to do. And I think that's the difference between sort of coaching and mentoring, isn't it? I think mentors play a fantastic role in business growth and development, but also in helping people to grow as well. And I'm intrigued to understand more about what your thoughts are around business mentors, because I think they're essential, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're great as long as they're not on a program. Um, if they're on a program, and I'm now thinking about some government-funded programs. I mean, I founded an organization called SVEDI, which was about improving the quality of business support. And shortly before I kind of like left it, the government created this Mentors Me program and various things all linked to whatever. And we had lots of people that I thought were inappropriate to be mentoring startups and micro business owners because they knew a lot about business, but they'd just been made redundant from the banks, most of them, because it wasn't long after the financial crash. And the majority of mentors were actually looking for a way in to actually, I suppose, doing self-employed, maybe consultancy and coaching, or getting paid as mentors. And everybody, since ancient Greek times, everybody has recognized the value of mentors. But I think they've got to be the appropriate ones. For you, do you know what I mean? I don't think you should be given a mentor, yeah, on a government program that's got an outcome of trying to sell you a loan, for example. In other words, if you apply for this loan, you get Simon Cox as your mentor, kind of thing. It's like, I don't like that kind of deal at all. But I believe that, and I mean, when we had, do you remember the Business Link network at all?
Yep.
And then, at one point we had 350 enterprise agencies in England, and there were lots of people, business owners, that were volunteer mentors, 40 years ago, 20 years ago, etc., working with the advisors and various things. And I thought that was absolutely perfect. Is that, they'd put the right mentor exactly with the right business owner, kind of thing. And even then they could change it, kind of thing. But I think it's so important. I think mentoring is, yeah, it's tremendously important. And I don't think there's any better compliment. I've never called myself a mentor, but when different people say from the stage that Tony's been my mentor for 15 years, I think, oh, have I? Oh, great. How did that happen? But that's the kind of mentoring that I think is like, yeah, invaluable. I don't know if have you heard of a chap called Dr. Ciroli,
No, I
Ernesto
haven't.
Ciroli? Okay.
No.
Well, have a look on YouTube because he did his YouTube TED talk has been viewed by about 20 million viewers, kind of thing. It's like, and it's called Shut Up and Listen. And the central thing of Ciroli is enterprise facilitation, which is kind of what I believe in. And it all starts from the fact that no successful entrepreneur, and he's done all the research and he's done it over many years, has ever done it alone. It's a myth. So some may claim credit for it, that I did all this kind of thing. But if you dig deep, you'll find that they've never done it alone. And just about everyone will have had somebody that they call a mentor. So, for example, Charlie Mullins, who we were talking about, who, sold now, I think, for 48 million or more, his plumbing business, Pimlico Plumbers, but still his family is still employed in it. His mentor was a plumber, was a self-employed plumber. Yeah, so I think it's tremendously important. Yeah, see if you can find a mentor. I think it's really important.
Yeah, brilliant. Now let's touch on you. Um, you're an author as well. You've written a number of books. I've seen them advertised. I've read one of them, the Happypreneur book, which is a great book.
Really well done.
And you've also been recognised for your services as well to entrepreneurship and enterprise as well, and obviously that doesn't come just like that. That comes with a lot of hard work and effort as well. So again, well done on that. But also, this is why we love to have these conversations with you because I think it's tremendous what you've done for business, for what you've done for people as well. Because ultimately, it's people that make businesses work as well. So, but talk to us a little bit about your book and what's it been like to write those books? Because does it help you to sort of like share your knowledge, your wisdom, your enthusiasm, or is it kind of like a little bit of a look? This is not you've not even told people how to do it, have you? You've actually just really sort of just shared experience, haven't you?
Yeah, I only really tell stories, so I do fiction and non-fiction. You've made the point. I don't tell anybody to do anything. I just don't believe in it really, and I've never believed in. I know some people that almost like say that they're the expert in something that they've just read about, kind of thing. And I'm very worried about that. I think questioning is kind of important, but I think telling stories, Charles Dickens is like the greatest happypreneur in my view of all time. Because he was pretty anti-establishment like me, but he used his stories to actually make the world a better place for kids' education, for all the stuff in debtors' prisons, all the discrimination against women, public hangings and capital punishments, and I mean so many issues. But he actually changed the world actually and gave us great Christmases out of telling stories, and then his building multiple income streams, which is one of the things that is incredibly important for an entrepreneur. And he was obviously entrepreneurial, so he was editing his magazine, his weekly magazine, he was writing books, but he was also going on these massive speaking tours of the UK and America, which is where he made his really, really big money, etc. But then again, that was huge audiences of people that he was talking directly to, telling stories again and influencing to just make changes and make things be useful. And some took it up, some said they didn't like it, but that's how you get doing. So I write fiction and non-fiction for that purpose, really, to be read, Simon. So, and after The Happypreneur, that was my last non-fiction. So I'm only writing fiction now. But the Happypreneurs, I've taken on tour with a Be More Happypreneur show, which I run with my friends Jen Crowther, who's Chief Executive of Yorkshire in Business, and Ian Farrow, who's Chief Executive of Far North. And so we do a show called the Be More Happypreneur Show, and that's great. And I did partly write that book that you say you've read on the basis of actually celebrating all the wonderful people like Ian and Jen and the Kenya Kings and the Tim Campbell who wrote the introduction and the um, as a bit of a celebration of entrepreneurship, really, so that people would actually maybe just look at them or, and start seeing what they're doing and learning from them. So it's not about just learning from me, it's about me talking about why they're great and what they're doing and various things, and it's like, yeah, so it's actually the audience speaking to and the audience reading are exactly the same in the same way that Dickens was doing. You're actually trying to uh, tell the truth about some things and then see if that resonates with some people so that they actually take, well, what I call motivation taking willing action. Yeah. And so some of the readers and some of the uh, uh, members of the audience will take willing action as a result of the story that you've actually told them. So, does that explain it, kind of thing? What I'm trying to do through the writing and the speaking, really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's been lovely to be able to see you writing those articles. You also appear in other articles as well. And I did
Yeah,
see you on the front cover of a business magazine recently, wasn't it?
yeah. So that's good. I mean, I'm ever so lucky, really, because there are a number of magazines that have actually featured me on the front cover and done 6 or 8 page interviews inside, and it's fantastic. And I mean, I am so lucky. I had last year was just the most amazing year because I stepped down as uh, uh, patron of John Cracknell Youth Enterprise Bank in Hull, where we give small grants, test marketing grants out, and various things. And as a result, I had one event after another in Hull, and that even that portrait that's behind me presented to me and various things. And I actually got my third lifetime achievement award, which is just, oh, it's just so much fun. But I'm surrounded by all my entrepreneur friends at all these things, Simon. And I can't say how much that actually means to me is to have so many friends that, we're all kind of like real ordinary people and we're just trying to make ends meet. That's what Tim Campbell and I have always agreed on. We see entrepreneurship not as exit strategies and becoming a millionaire. It's about trying to make ends meet, being useful, avoiding debt. Yeah, making sure that we put family and friends first, sort of like a lot of the big entrepreneurs say you've got to ditch your family and friends in order to be successful. But the real entrepreneurs, it's totally the opposite. That's the most important thing in their life. You ask the Jim Ratcliffe, it's all like, they put their family in the businesses. They stay with their friends for the lifetime. It's like tremendously important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad you touched on that as well. And yeah, I mean, family, I think, can get you out of those situations when you're running a business as well. When you're starting a business, I think sometimes they look at you thinking, "Why are you doing this?" When you're going through all this pain and challenge and the roller coaster. But at the end of the day, they can also pull you out of those situations when you need it most as well. Because yeah, the emotions of running a business, it's challenging sometimes, and I just find sometimes they kind of bring me back to where I need to be sometimes and keep me a little bit level headed, which is what's always needed. So yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about the wonderful work of the Organisation for Responsible Business as well.
Oh,
That
yes.
I
Lovely.
think we should really be talking about some of this work that Jill's doing because I think Jill and the people that she's got around her as well is incredible. But I actually found out about it via yourself. So yeah, let's have a little chat about Jill then.
Oh yeah, well, I call her the dancing queen because at the last Microbiz Masters Day, we had this big wigwam, and for the evening events, and Jill showed herself to be not only a wonderful person, which she is, but absolutely brilliant dancer. She's absolutely great. She's a real rock star, is Jill. And yeah, so what she's doing for planet and people is tremendous. And I can't recommend anybody enough to. The price of membership of the Organization for Responsible Business is ridiculously low. I mean, it's so small, but that's because Jill knows that the majority of micro business owners haven't got much money at all, and she just wants them to get involved in the community. So forget about certification and all those kind of things that look good on your letterhead at the beginning. But those are things that you can have. It's a recognized standard setting body, and you can actually have, a certificate, and you can go through the learning and make sure that you are being great in every aspect. So not just sustainability, not just climate issues, but also people, communities, customers. The whole thing is about being a responsible business. But I just think it's so unlike a tick box exercise is joining that community. And honestly, her and Bridget, they'll tell everybody in the world about your business that you're a member and that you're doing good for the planet and the people and your communities and your customers and whatever. So just in terms of actually getting involved in that community, it's an absolute delight. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, do have a look at the National Organization for Responsible Businesses, or ORB as it's called. And Jill is just fantastic. I mean, she won't mind me saying it, but she's my age. We're not youngsters, but I think we've got a fair amount of energy for what we believe in, and Jill is totally believes in everything she does, and it's absolutely fantastic. And a lot of people that you've met at Microbiz Matters Days that have helped with Microbiz Matters Days have joined ORB, which is, I think, a very good indication of how important we think it is. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, the big companies aren't going to save planet and people. So the only way for us to actually push back at what they're actually doing and what the governments are letting them do is by us actually taking control of it ourselves in our own way, in our communities. And no, it's a great community to join. Thank you very much for joining them. And I think like all the things, like the Micro Business Alliance, Jill is one of the 5 people that are on the Micro Business Alliance, and that was created out of the tragedy of the 3 million excluded UK, most of them being self-employed people and micro business owners that were excluded from all income support by the government. And we vowed to try and do everything that we could do to ensure that policies like that could never happen again. And the only way that we can do that is by being inside government and confidentially talking to them. And so Ian Cass, our chair, is talking to ministers and shadow ministers. And so you don't see any publicity about what we're doing, but we're actually trying to make sure that those policies that will level the playing field and make sure that the tragedies like loan charge victims, WASPy women, self-employed sub-postmasters, and 3 million excluded UK do not happen again. Sorry, because government don't understand or don't understand how they work or whatever. And so Jill is one of the 5 people on the steering group, and the Micro Business Alliance has already got, and we're delighted to have you in that as well, Simon. So it's already got over 100 organisations representing about 1.4 million micro businesses owners now. So your network will have over 100 micro business owners involved that you're engaged with. And, someone like Simply Business have probably got, 800,000 customers that are micro business owners. So, we've got Global Entrepreneurship Week, for example, their members. And what they're doing is just like saying, look, we're supporting the work that Jill and Tony and Ian Farrer, who I've mentioned, and Jen Crowther and Ian Cass, our chairman, are doing to try and, support self-employed people and micro business owners. So Jill is a star on all counts. It's one of my heroes. Fantastic.
Been great. I mean, I've loved it since we've crossed paths, and she's always pushing stuff out about some of the success we've been having, some of the things that we've been doing. She's been sharing it on X, as it's now known, and everything like this. So but for me, it's just great to be part of the National Member Council as well for ORB as well. So I sit on there with people around the country, and
You do,
obviously
yeah.
we talk about that as well. So it's great to give back into the organisation through that route as well, and play a part as well. So
really important. And I think the other thing is that she's constantly, and member council members and all the people involved in all are constantly educating people about planet and people issues and sustainability and things. So, for example, Jill sits on our panels to give these test marketing grants to young people, and nearly every time she says, like, and make sure that you are plastic free, or do you know what I mean? She's always giving little tips to that startup business about making sure that they're actually doing the right thing for the environment or people or whatever. Yeah, so it's tremendously important work. Well done.
yeah, fantastic. No, thank you. Now, just to sort of come towards the end, starting a business not easy. I'm going to ask you for some tips and ideas. Not ideas, that's the wrong word. Let's go with tips. Let's give you some ideas of how businesses can get their businesses going if they're looking to start a business. What would you say, sort of top
Yep.
3 or 4 tips you could give people?
Right. Well, these 5 tips that I'm going to give you, Simon, if you I'll make the difference between 20% to 50%. It's 10% in Silicon Valley, by the way. Only 10% of startups in Silicon Valley survive 3 years, right? Whereas if you meet these 5 tips, and yeah, I'm absolutely convinced that 80% of businesses will survive the first 3 years. And honestly, the government and the media and the academics, they never talk about survival being important. They want growth businesses, we want all that. But if you're in business, you can change, you can do. The main thing is about actually surviving and making ends meet so that you can actually explore new markets, do new things and whatever, and ride the bad side. So the first one I've given you already, it's also the thing for happypreneurship, is do what you love and are good at. So you might have the most fantastic money-making idea in the world, but if it's something that you haven't really got any interest in apart from becoming a wealthy megastar kind of thing, and it's not something you're particularly good at either, then I would suggest to do it, because unfortunately, I've never seen a business that goes on that kind of up curve kind of thing. There's going to be lots of downs as well, and you won't survive it. The second thing for a startup is to bootstrap, don't borrow. And that is incredibly important because lots of people, although we talk about people not wanting to give you money, if you have got a good business idea, then people are willing to lend you money. They're willing to invest in your business right from the start, etc. But try not to. That's where family and friends come in and all sorts of things, or downsizing or selling your favorite. I've got a couple of great guitars there, Simon. Selling your favorite guitar or whatever it is. But right at the beginning, angel investors will tell you out of the hundreds of thousands of business plans they've never seen one go according to the business plan. So that's why you've got to bootstrap, don't borrow, because you frankly do not know what is going to happen, even though it looks good on that paper. So find a way of starting your business and buying yourself some time. I'm not saying that you should never borrow, and I'm not saying that you should never have an investor, but I am saying that right at the very beginning, bootstrap, don't borrow. The third thing, and this is the key, this is the one that makes the difference between really about the 80%, just about, is test trade first. Because whatever idea you think you've got, until you've actually got some real customers telling you what they think about it, you haven't got a clue. And basically, that's why the pop-up shops are so good. That's why doing a few things, test trading while you've still got income coming in. Preferably do your test trading while you've got other income coming in from other sources. The fourth one is what we've discussed as well, is ask a business owner who understands your customers. Yeah, so ask for help. Don't try and do it on your own. Ask for help from a business owner that understands your customer. It's easy in retail. If I'm setting up something in Scarborough, I can go, 100 miles away and I can sit in somebody else's similar shop or whatever and see what's going on. But find all those kind of ways of test trading first, kind of thing. Most successful coffee businesses that we've got in Scarborough all started off with a little van, or they did ice cream sellers with a little truck at weddings and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Find a low cost way of test trading first. And the last one is build multiple income streams. I can't tell you how important this is, but think of the Dickens example, his father and family ended up in the debtors' prison, which is the way that they did with people that didn't pay in 30 days or less, Simon, in those days. But basically, yeah, make sure that one of those things, your best client will disappear at some point in time. You're a service that you think will whatever. If it's a really good one, the government might take it, or a big company might take it, or, so make sure that you're building and test trading these different income streams. So you're never putting all your eggs in one basket. And that's the way you survive a COVID or whatever, is that you've got something else that you can actually, and some businesses actually found that they not only survived COVID, they came up with stronger businesses because one of their little income streams that worked by Zoom or whatever was a business income stream that was more successful than the ones going face-to-face events. We look at Brad Burton, who we both know. He's one of my favorite speakers in the world. Well, he had a multi-million business networking business. I mean, absolutely famous, absolutely fantastic. UK's top motivational speaker. It all disappeared overnight in COVID. What has he done? He's used some of his other things that he was good at, yeah, to actually build new income streams that are going exceptionally well for him. So, yeah, so those are the 5 tips.
Brilliant. Tony, thank you ever so much for your time. Thanks for joining us. I really do appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. I never fail to be, well, let me rephrase that. you always give me something. You always give me more motivation, more vision, more, more passion for what we do as well. So just spending this time with you is tremendous. So thank you. Thank you for taking part today as well. And
Yeah.
look after yourself as well. You do a tremendous job for other people, and we must be, must remember that we must look after ourselves as well. So maybe we need to go for a run together at some point.
Yeah. Keep rocking. You're awesome, Simon. Thank you very much indeed for having me. And have a great day.